Alright everybody, today's video is going to be a fun one to celebrate 50,000 subscribers on the channel as a thank you from me to you. I put up a poll on the actual YouTube community page asking you guys what you wanted to see. Gave you three options and two of them basically tied, and that was a kind of full-blown shop tour and kind of like background, as well as a day in the life of me, BJ, Brickhouse Builds. So today's video is going to be a combination of both of those. Follow me through the day, kind of see what I do, see how my time is consumed, and then we'll hop in the shop, give you guys a full kind of breakdown of the history, how I got started, my knowledge base, and it's just going to be fun. So come hang out with me, let's get started. Morning. I hate this thing. Morning, Aspen. Shake. Give me a shake. Give me a shake. Come on, give me a shake. There you go. Okay, whatever. Phoned it in this morning. Alright, it's still early. It's frosty outside. Getting ready to drop Amber off at yoga. And I'm gonna head to the gym. Bolted yoga yesterday. Today, we're splitting it up. I'm gonna try not to talk to strangers. Today at school.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Get out of here. Hate this place. Alright, now that we're back, 7:21. Let's let the doggos outside. Okay, this is Ben, by the way. What do you say, Ben? He's like, I got poop. Wait. Alright. Go. Alright, it's 7:30. It is now time for coffee. This is a lot heavier after the gym. Alright. Give me a shake. Better one this time? Come on. She just had to have some teeth extracted. Come on. Show them your missing chompers. Yep. She's sweet. Alright, well, here is my office. I have this old desk that I actually found in a junkyard. Got it for like 20 bucks. It's got some cool patina on it. Got some stickers on there. But I wanted an old metal desk, and then I paired that with a cool old vintage like fiberglass chair. So that's cool. But my workstation, things on the wall, a bunch of service manuals. So, yeah, let's get into it. Oh, man. Well, it's 7:53. We're a little bit late today. Usually I'm at my desk at 7:20 or something like that. And I begin my day kind of officially. Before we were going to the gym and whatnot, I was at my desk at 5:45 in the morning, and I would just start off with editing, and sometimes I'll kind of mix that. I'll fire up my computer, and then I will immediately just kind of go on YouTube and just start replying to comments. So that does actually take a while, but I do make a great effort to reply to as many people as I can, and I think it's fun getting to interact and stuff, and that's part of it. So I'll do that for a while, and then I will go into editing. Now for editing videos, I actually started this channel as a complete novice. I've never taken a course in any kind of video production, anything like that. Basically, it was just like knowing that I liked a certain look and then trying to duplicate that the best I can as far as, kind of what I feel my style would be. The way I pair music to different clips and different cuts and things like that, trying to make sure coloration is okay and then trying to make sure audio is okay. And this video is probably going to be all over the board because I'm just filming it with my old phone, so bear with me here. But back to editing, approaching it from a novice background. From what I found, Filmora was kind of the most entry level as far as user friendliness and the ability for just a complete beginner to learn it. So that's what I went with, and that's what I've been using for like 3 years now. I've never used anything else, so I don't have anything to compare it to, but I'm used to it at this point. So I will spend at least a few hours a day editing. But here lately, I have been, I always try to stop at 9, so the kind of going to the gym thing has been taking a little bit of time away from editing. But I have stepped away from doing like a set kind of upload schedule. I used to upload Mondays religiously, and then if I was going to post 2 videos a week, it would be Monday, Thursday. And if I was going to do 3 videos, it would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But the way I've been doing it lately is not posting a video until it is just simply ready. And, I might plan it out for a day or two, like the CB750 time lapse. That was a premiere, so I had that kind of uploaded and ready 3 days in advance. And that was a really long 3 days to wait for that thing to go live, because I was so excited. But it's there's been less videos lately because this is kind of how I've been doing it. With only so much time in the day, edit till 9, and then whenever the video is ready, that's when it goes up. All right. 9:01, time to stop editing and get to something else. So I could do this probably most of the day, but there's just so many things to do that I have to kind of cut myself off at a certain time. So time to get to other things. Now the next thing I really do after about 9 o'clock is I'll hop into my email and I will start kind of getting back to different random emails that I have. And then I also do tech support for the products that I sell. So like NWT Cyclotronic, I am the one who sells those in the Americas. I ship them out, which you'll see soon. But part of that and part of the thing that I like doing is the tech support side. So a lot of times I'll have emails with questions on maybe how to do wiring on specific things. And that's cool. So that does take up some time. And I'll usually get to work on that for about an hour or so. So at about 10 o'clock or so, we will go downstairs and start packaging stuff. But for now, I'm going to get into my email, reply to what needs to be replied to, delete a bunch of spam emails, and be back with you. All right, it's 10 o'clock, time to go downstairs and start packaging stuff. So what did I accomplish in this past 35 minutes or so? Pretty much nothing. What I'm working on is actually trying to get my store ads to display underneath my YouTube videos. So what you would see, like if you were watching this on a desktop or something, would be like my products, my merchandise or some NWT products below the actual video. But to do that, I gotta get with Shopify and have them confirm something, but for them to confirm something, Google needs to confirm something, and then Google's like, no, it's Shopify, bro. And Shopify's like, yo, it's Google. And then it's like I'm in the middle, like, just talk to each other. So just one of those everyday kind of challenges that I face that I got to be tech support. I got to figure all this stuff out. I'm not an expert with websites, so there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. All right, well, we got to put a hoodie on because it's freaking cold in my basement where I have a bunch of products here. So I sell NWT Cyclotronic products, and I do my own merch and stuff like that. So I have shelves full of things. This is where I process orders and package things. So I'll typically get down here, like I said, about 10 o'clock or so. And takes less than an hour typically. And I can have everything out to you guys. So just know that if you order something from me, except for like my hoodies And t-shirts, those come from a third party. Everything else comes from here. I hand package every single item. Now behind me there's just a few items, but I actually have a substantial amount of stuff in a warehouse that I'm storing stuff in. I actually just put up a video of organizing it. I'll link it above. But I also do eBay part sales. So I have an eBay store, I have my merchandise store, like the Brickhouse Build side, and then there's of course like NWT Cyclotronics. So there's a lot of online sales going on. So that really helps, keep the business going and allow me to do things like this. So there's multiple sources of income, whether it be YouTube. Obviously, whenever you get to a certain point, you can monetize a channel. So YouTube is a good part of my income. And then through that, I can help promote product and help showcase how to install things, give a lot of product information. And that is where like NWT Cyclotronic comes in. So I can actually use my platform to also educate and inform and advertise product, which I can then hopefully, sell if it's needed. And then, of course, that's where that tech support comes in. So it's kind of like a loop, it feeds itself. So yeah, the goal is just ultimately to have fun building cool things. So I enjoy wrenching on old bikes. And so I can, grab a bike. The goal is to make it run. I might make educational videos on that to help you guys. That informs you and just helps the entire community out. And then if I put let's say a different product on it, or I change something, I can share that product and then maybe advertise for it. That can generate revenue on that front, and then I put it right back into that bike. So I reinvest every cent back into the channel as far as, either growing it or, buying packaging tape or scales or gimbals for my cameras or different cameras, and just trying to make better and better videos or put out better information for you guys, or just be more efficient at my job. But again, there's multiple revenue sources, and all of them will add up into a sustainable living. So yeah, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of different pieces to it, but I think it's working out for me. I really enjoy it. But anyway, we're done packaging stuff up, so soon enough I'm going to hop in the van. We'll take this to the post office, and then we will have lunch. We'll get right back into it with some shop stuff, and I'll go over my history and my background on that segment. It's organized. Okay. Now before I head out the door, I'm going to actually turn the heat on in the shop here. During the winter, I keep it set at 60 degrees, so crank this thing up to 72. That's a nice number. We'll let this place get a little bit warmed up, and then by the time we're back out here in, say, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, it'll be nice and toasty and comfortable to work in. So in the van right now, this is my 2016 Ford Transit. This is a medium roof, full-size van. I need this for hauling bikes, which I do so almost daily. Whenever it gets down to kind of the summer, I'm always moving bikes around. But this was a necessity. Ugh. So it's a very cool space. I can stand up comfortably in here, which doesn't say much because I'm not that tall. But very helpful. So I have had an Astro van in the past, which was a really cool vehicle. I really enjoyed it, but not very tall of a roof. So moving stuff around like adventure bikes, or let's say you get an occasional Harley, or who knows, something with some chopper style bars on it, you need the height. So this was just an incredible purchase, and I have it set up with 2 wheel chocks in it. These are completely adjustable. I made this kind of rack system or tie bar system. And what I've done here, let me show you. I've actually put some E-track in the floor, and that way I can adjust this kind of drawbar forward and back as I need it. I have another bar, I just have yet to use it. But these are Condor wheel chocks. I really like these things. They hold the bike very stable. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I've just been using them for so long. It's like the only thing I buy now. But I also have this on my motorcycle table instead of that stupid like screw jack. These things are awesome. So I use this van a lot. I take road trips in it. I go to shows in it. I camp in it. It's a very awesome vehicle to have. I'm extremely lucky to have it. So just reminiscing about some cool trips I've done in this thing. Me and a buddy from here actually drove down to Arkansas and met up with another friend from Texas. It's kind of the halfway point. And we did like 2 days of adventure riding, and oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. Just the drive down there was amazing, and then beyond that, it was just such a cool trip. But yeah, camping the van and stuff, and it was awesome. Having this vehicle really allows me to do things like that much easier. Alright, I've got my packages dropped off, and normally when I'm out and about I'll run a bunch more errands, but I've strategically been keeping myself a little bit less busy as far as like shop work and needing things like that here lately, because I've been tackling other projects and other things. So today, or right now, just drop a few things off, and now we're headed back, gonna grab some lunch, and then we will jump into the shop. Boom. So I know that you guys know me for building motorcycles, but let me tell you, I build a mean sandwich too. So, time to eat. Alright, let's check this place out. Welcome to Brickhouse Builds, or Vinyl Siding Moto, or She Shed Cycles, whatever you want to call it. A small space right now, but that's not where we started. But we'll get into the origin story here soon. For now, let's take a look around my workspace. This is a single car garage. It is a 12 by 18, not that big. So what that means is I have to be very organized in here, and I have to kind of think outside the box as far as storage. And I can't use typical things that you might be able to buy at stores as far as like bins and racks and all that stuff. So I have to make my own a lot of times. Now, whenever I bought the home that I'm in now, this was just a shell basically. So what I did is I tore down everything that didn't need to be in here, and then I worked on getting this entire place insulated head to toe basically. So the ceiling is all completely insulated. I have like the ducting in there and stuff. The walls are insulated. And then I actually had an electrical panel brought in here. So this is on its own kind of, I think it's a 100 amp circuit. So this pays its own electric bill. And then I have just been evolving it. So some of the things that I did to make this place work with needing to put a lot of stuff in here was the idea of going vertical. So up here, your normal rafters, you can see I have some that are covered here. So I have 3 sections, one up above me right there, and of course one above the door that are covered with plywood, and I have them supported, and I can actually store quite a bit of stuff up there. I don't want to put like a ton of weight, but it is a great place to store some things. So it's kind of a semi-organized system. But the middle here, that is where I keep all of the kind of motorcycle parts for the immediate projects that I'm working on, such as this CX500 here. Now, one of the more difficult challenges, of course, if you're going to be going up, is accessing it. So that's why this ladder is always here hanging on the wall, because I use it every day. I'm always climbing up and down and stuff. And, it's just kind of, it's what you get with this place. It is what it is. But you know what? This space is better than having no space at all. So there's been a lot of things I've made in here, and a lot of changes that I've made over the last 3-4 years that I've lived here. And I'll kind of take you through some of those now. Now these lights will start off there. They are LED, but they have a little bit warmer of a hue to them which really makes coloration in this place difficult on camera, which is why I have recently, or at least actually about a year ago now, painted this place in the gray that you see. It shows up a lot better on camera. The floor kind of reflects a little bit more of a warmer hue, and then the lights give a little bit warmer hue, so it's not perfect, but when you're doing what I do and you have to make videos, that is an important thing to look at. So I'm going to put a clip in here of kind of doing a panning shot before I painted the walls, and you can see how crazy it looked. And that was really difficult to work with and especially edit. So once I kind of painted the walls, it really started to look a lot better in here. Now, whenever I did that kind of transformation, I did make a video of it, and I showcased some of these cabinets here. So of course we got to go up, and this is a cool, these are cubicle cabinets or cubicle storage bins. So they're metal, they roll back like that. Great access to stuff, so just nice metal cabinets. They're very sturdy, and they keep sparks off of everything, keep dust. So I keep a lot of my consumables up here, oils, you know, carburetor stuff, different adhesives or unadhesives, whatever. And then this big orange metal rack I made that ties into the studs, and then these cabinets are actually hung onto that rack. So underneath I made these PVC like drill holders, so pretty cool there. That's a common use item, so it needs to be kind of one of those first priority, you know, first access kind of things. I know Adam Savage has a term for it, quick access, but instead of tucking those away in a drawer, I need them available at a moment's notice, so that's why that is there. Now, this is a wiring rack I'm still working on. I will have a video on it, but this is going to be a nice thing to have. It's a necessity for me. So over here in the corner, this is something I'm making a video on right now. This is the latest edition, and these are all Plano bins with like all of my wiring. So one of the issues I have is storing all the different wiring components that I have, because it was turning into like 5 different bins, and they're stored everywhere throughout the shop, and whenever it came down to like wiring a project, way too much stuff out, and it was just taking up way too much space. So this is a current focus. I actually have 8 more bins downstairs in my basement. I'm going to fill this section too, because I can put a lot more in here. These cool things, some torch holders. A buddy gave me these, and these are like some Home Depot, looks like Chameleon brand or whatever. Super awesome to have. I try to utilize the corners anytime I can because it's unused space. So another recent addition, a light here. And this is above my lathe. So this was another recent addition. Little machine shop. This is a 5100 belt drive, I think brushless motor in this one. And it is my first lathe. Looks kind of, you know, it's a small lathe, but it's better than no lathe. I use this thing all the time, and it was money well spent. So I would love to have something a lot more substantial, but we got to think space in here. There's not much. So this is the largest lathe I feel like I could comfortably fit into, of course, the space as well as my budget. So the lathe sits on top of just a Husky cabinet I found on Marketplace, and this thing has all of my tooling, and then I have like drills and gloves and some PPE in here, some TIG welding stuff. Down below that, just a basic cabinet. We have no real organization in here yet, and that's always evolving. But the cabinet itself was awesome to get. Over here, this is a box I've had for a long time, so I store some smaller tools in here, like fabrication stuff, so center punches, step drills, taps, tap handles, punches, that kind of thing, just some random things. The next drawer up is where I store hardware. I do save a lot of hardware, but this is all metric, so M6 bolts, M6 nuts, M8, M10 and up, and then we have nuts, different washers, all that kind of thing. This is what I would call the junk drawer. We have whatever, just whatever in here. So I've got a few like gaskets and O-rings and stuff that have just been, they've just been acquiring in here. But I need to organize this, and as I work on more storage elsewhere, this will kind of get more organized. But I always save little things, like if it's a steel bushing or random washer, I save all of that stuff and it always comes in handy. This is more like rubber bushings. This is, I don't know, you tell me. Up top, I have more, let's say, thread lubricants or thread lock or JB Weld or exhaust sealant or CV joint grease, whatever. I have that kind of stuff up top here. I don't know what you want to call it. It's not really chemicals, but you know, that's at least where it's at. So on the wall here, kind of use some plastic that I bought, and I have a cool Allen key holder that I made. So this makes all of your quick access stuff easy to get, easy to see what's out of place when you're missing one. So down here, metric SAE. Over here, little welding rod consumable bin. This holds my markers, and then this was I don't know, a piece of aluminum for something, had these brackets on it. I just screwed it to the wall, made a little shelf. Worked out great. So another important tool right here. These are my JIS screwdrivers. So very important for Japanese bikes. These are my Vessel, like traditional ones, and then these are Vessel Impact JIS drivers. Very handy. Number 2s, number 3s, you gotta have them. Now, one of the most important tools is obviously your toolboxes and your workbench. Now, my last place that I had, oh my gosh, I had so many workbenches and I was spoiled, let me tell you. But this one, I actually kind of took a page out of Classic Octane. I hit him up and asked kind of what top he had for his. And his, I think, was some version of a kitchen countertop. I can't remember. But I ended up going to like Menards or something. I got this 8-foot section of countertop. And actually, this has held up fantastic. This is a really good workbench, and it's very easy to clean. So 8-foot section countertop, has a lip on the back, and then I made this entire kind of frame setup, the whole toolbox holder. And then I have just a pair of Craftsman boxes that I've made into the actual tool bench or workbench itself. Over here, I have a basic cutout in the middle. I like to sit here and I weld. And then right here, another cool thing, this is a receiver. And I put my bench vise as well as like my tubing bender and maybe like my polisher and stuff. I tuck that in here. And that way it's not something that's, you know, bolted to my workbench taking up space. I can actually just, you know, I can have free space when I need it, and then when I need something else, slide it into the receiver and it's good to go. So let me show you that now. So I usually keep my vise over here. This thing is super heavy. Not fun to lift up and down all the time. Slide that in there like that, and you have a usable vise. Same thing with my polisher and my tubing bender, as I've mentioned. So when you're done, you know you're not going to use it, of course, take it back out. Moving right along, I have my tape storage on a camshaft. I actually made a couple of these. So cool little thing. Of course, you got a kitchen paper towel dispenser. You got to have your shop towels on that. That's really handy. And then you get into the compressor area. So I kind of built this shelf to house the compressor here, and then have my hose reel. So this is obviously something that can reach any distance in this small space. But this is a nice compact setup. Not really overly loud, or at least I don't think so. But this is a 60 gallon. I have replaced the motor once already, but overall works really good. Moving over here, this is something I really like. So these are all just pieces of PVC, and these are TIG filler rod storage. So I actually made a video on this, but quick access. You can have stuff labeled as far as what filler rod material you need. You can just grab it and go. And then getting under this area, there's actually a lot of storage. So using clamps and stuff like that, it's probably gonna be dark, but I have different clamps and lights, and that's my wire storage right now, which is gonna change obviously. But this is a nice space to have. My drill press fits under here really well. And then it's just kind of I can tuck stuff away, like my soda blast cabinet, my solvent tank, and my ultrasonic cleaner. And then of course my trash can. So now let's go ahead and talk about one of my favorite tools. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, two of the most important tools in my shop would be the welders. So I started out with a MIG. This being that MIG, this is a Craftsman 110 volt, just real basic, real entry level MIG. I actually got this for my 16th birthday. That was one of the coolest gifts I ever got. And it really allowed me to just do what I do. And this, I've had gas on it since basically day one. So with the MIG, I actually used this for like 16 years before I actually got a TIG welder. Now, I get a lot of comments and a lot of people saying like, oh, I wish I had a TIG, or you know, I can't do that without a TIG, or thinking that you have to have one. And although it is nice to have, and at my point or at my level, I kind of have to have it to do what I do, it's not an absolute necessity for everybody. I do recommend a gas MIG, just an entry-level one. Just go on Marketplace, spend $500, get a used one, and go to town. These will pay for themselves so quick. But yeah, all of my earlier bikes up until, I don't know, like 2020 or something, I never had a TIG. They're all built with a MIG welder, and I think they look pretty good. Of course, a TIG does open up some capability, so let's talk about that now. I actually got this from a friend, used. This is an old transformer style Miller Synchrowave 180, and that's about the extent of my knowledge on it. It's got a big old 220 plug, and it makes a lot of noises, but it does aluminum and steel. So I do TIG welding on stainless steel, regular steel, of course aluminum. I haven't tried any like titanium or anything like that, but this is an awesome machine. It hasn't let me down yet. It does have, you know, kind of its own little kinks and whatever, but no, it's been great. I got a great deal on it. It has paid for itself and allowed me to just build my skills so much. Now, some things that I have got for the TIG to kind of make my life easier was a gas lens, and I just went with some Furic products on this. So that was a cool upgrade. But beyond that, just playing with different tungstens and different settings has kind of got me where I needed to go. So just a lot of practice. But like welding aluminum, still quite a bit challenging for me. I feel like this machine, just naturally due to its age, it doesn't have quite the adjustment or the technology that you would use on welding aluminum, but everything else, it definitely seems to do okay. There are definitely better, newer, lighter, you know, more efficient welders out there, but you know, for me, it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this one's gonna stay around a while, and you know, I know eventually I'll get something else, but for now, I love this thing. All right, and moving over this direction, I mentioned my solvent tank and then my ultrasonic cleaner. So this is a 30-liter ultrasonic. I got this, 5, 6, who knows, maybe even 7 years ago at this point. This is about $250, kind of an Amazon, eBay special. Guys, buy one, okay? Get a 30-liter. It will pay for itself. Let me tell you, this thing is awesome. It's linked in my Amazon storefront, which is in the description of this video. So go check one of these out. I highly recommend them. Solvent tank, you know, Harbor Freight, nothing special. But down here, I did actually put it on wheels this year and then built a little cart for the bottom. So that allows more storage. Again, storage space is very important for me. And if you can get it on wheels, put it on wheels. Just like my soda blaster. So this is a Harbor Freight cabinet. It sucks, but it does work. And I just have it filled with baking soda right now, and I use that to clean up aluminum and brass and stuff for carburetors and basically nothing else. So I do want to replace this with a vapor hone. That would be the most ideal situation for cleaning up aluminum and cases and all kinds of stuff, and those are awesome. But this thing is still useful. It's still good. And I'll fight with it until I get something different. But I did also put this one on wheels, and then again put a rack in the bottom, and that's where I have like my tubing bender and some other stuff. So good storage space there. All right, now moving up top here, or at least in the middle. This is that shelf we mentioned. So I keep like different bins up here, stuff I don't feel like I have to grab all the time, but I end up having to grab these totes down like multiple times a day, which sucks. But we'll figure something else out in time. But I have like a box of like chargers and cables, and then that's like some cleaning stuff, all my chemicals. Common use, that's like a junk drawer of a bin, but all stuff I use commonly. Some random tools there. That bin is still filled with some electrical tools that I have, but I'm still working on organizing that. That toolbox there I got out of a junkyard, but that is holding all of my polishing equipment. Over here, PPE. This is just kind of a random little coffee can of scrap metal pieces that I use all the time for little brackets. And then of course we have some tools, more specialty tools behind that. And that kind of concludes the shelf. I do have a shop vac back there, but it sucks. Well, not in the good way though. Up top, just more storage. Moving over here, this is a little metal rack for the wall. It's on the wall. You guys could have guessed that. I didn't have to explain. But, you know, pretty self-explanatory. Gets it up off the ground because I was storing everything kind of in a pile over here. And this is just one of those, another one of those organizational things. Coming over here, I have just some strap storage. Extension cords. This is all vacuum tubing for like my carburetor synchronizers. And then this nice exhaust fan. See it open up. There you go. That is a necessity. It will clear this place out pretty quick. That combined with my mini split there, really nice combo. So this place, as of this past year, now has AC and heat. So that is pretty spectacular if you ask me. Finally, we'll work our way over this corner here. And again, I like to use my corners, so keep the radio up here. I have a couple helmets, then I got my more PPE as far as my 3M work tunes. These things are sweet. That is my original set. One earphone died on them, but that's okay. They paid for themselves. And then I do have 2 fire extinguishers in this place, so one over in this corner, and then one tucked over there by the welder, so wherever I'm at, I have at least a shorter trip to the fire extinguishers. Alright, now this is a motorcycle shop. We gotta have a motorcycle table, right? This is a pneumatic Black Widow brand lift, and this actually came with a bunch of different accessories and stuff like that. I've sold the wings that came off of it because I don't really do ATVs or anything, but this has been a good lift. I did change the actual chalk here. I mentioned in the van I had those Condor chalks. Same thing here. And what I like about these is that you can remove the front wheel when you have this thing up here. So you take off that front guard and you can do like tire changes and stuff like that once you support the bike. So that single feature alone is really awesome. But originally this would have came with like a screw jack kind of thing where you have to wheel the bike up and then you kind of get it into spot. You have to hold the thing with one hand and then you got to tighten the wheel up, and you know, it works whatever, but a actual drive-on chalk that's bolted down is so much better, because you guys have seen a lot of times I will wheel a bike up here, throw it in the chalk, and then I can just walk away. You know, you do strap them, but it allows me to just kind of take both hands off the bikes. The chalk will hold the bike up. It's a lot safer. Of course, this thing goes up and down via pedal, locks in multiple positions, and overall it is a necessity for here. So originally I started out, I had 2 wood tables, and those were great, but when you get into heavier bikes, it gets harder to push them up an incline, and especially doing it by yourself. It's just dangerous, and especially with somebody else's bike, because if you drop it, you gotta pay for it. Now currently what we have on the table is this CX500 Adventure build. I have a bunch of videos on it, full playlists on this thing. It is almost done. It's running. I've ridden it around a little bit, and right now we're just doing that kind of final, you know, fine tuning on it, which is really cool. It's a really exciting time. Other than that, I'm working on just diagnosing a neutral light that won't go out. So just doing some, you know, continuity checks, checking voltage, looking for shorts, that kind of thing. Just trying to figure that one little issue out. And other than that, it will be good to go. So really excited about it. And that leaves us with this kind of space here. Now, there are a lot of tools that I would love to get, but you gotta think about space. Now, I know right here it looks like, oh, I have room for stuff, but as soon as I get another bike in here, this space is gone. So I have to actually keep this open. And you know, it's unfortunate. I would love to get, and I do desperately need like a press brake. So just having a hydraulic press and just like a general like you know, finger brake or something like that would be really nice. And then of course I've mentioned that vapor hone. You know, I'd love to get a bit bigger lathe. And then there's tons of other tools I would love to get, but you know, you got to think of what you can accomplish in this space. So some things I have to outsource or do maybe the hard way or manual way, but it is what it is. I'm very fortunate to have this space, And yeah, hopefully soon that will actually change. That's the plan for this year, is to get into a much larger facility. So something I can store all of my bikes in and parts, because of course we have the warehouse, which is full of stuff. So this kind of brings me to origin story. Where did Brickhouse Builds start? How did I get my skill set? It's a question I get quite a bit, actually. So the short answer is trial and error. But where to start? I have long been like a car fanatic. I've been a car nut way longer than I have been like a motorcycle guy. And I actually started doing motorcycles because at my last place, the place where Brickhouse Builds comes from, I was actually doing cars, trying to flip them and work on them. I've had numerous car projects. And basically it came down to, you can fit more motorcycles in the same space as you could a car. So that's, how this came to be. I was working at a car dealer at the time, and basically it ended up shutting down just kind of overnight. And I had already been doing some motorcycles, but on just kind of like a personal basis. And what was happening is I had a Yamaha Virago I built, put up some photos now, really cool bike. It was one of my first builds, and I just got Instagram, and I started sharing it around, and I mean, to me it seemed like it was getting popular, so that ended up being kind of the start. Now, I had some other bikes before that, just very briefly, but the Virago was the first one that I did that was considered custom. So I had that bike for sale on Craigslist. This is a funny story. I had that bike for sale on Craigslist, and it was actually my sister's wedding, and I got a phone call from a guy. His name's Peter. He saw the bike for sale and said, "Hey, I've got a CX500. Do you build anything for like customers?" And I'm like, that's the first time anybody had asked me that. And I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, talking to my brother-in-law, I'm like, what do you think I should do here? So figured I'd give it a shot. So got with him, and then we ended up building Ranger Green. So you guys have seen that bike. I've made a bunch of videos on it. That was my first customer build, and that turned into a really cool friendship. So that kind of became the first moment where this was a business, I guess. Once you start getting paid to do something, then you're officially doing it as a profession. So that was kind of the partial launch. But before that, I'd mentioned I've been working on some other stuff, and getting going. The plan was to actually buy bikes and put maybe like a couple weeks into them, as far, give them the look, change the bars, maybe some cool tires, lower them a little bit, give them like a thin seat, just kind of give them that basic cafe look and sell them for profit. Turns out that's not how you make money. That was I lost money like every time. I'd have to like give bikes away. And of course, looking back, yeah, the quality, it was different than what I'm building now. But I learned with every bike. It was an experience, and there's a couple bikes floating around out there that, occasionally they pop up, like this GS 450 I did. That was one of the first bikes, and I've got phone calls on that one as recent as a week ago from the current owner in Florida, who rides it around. It's still out there ripping, man. But I've got bikes on all sides of the country, north, south, east, west, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, as far as the name Brickhouse Builds, that actually comes from the previous place that I lived. It was a literal brick house, and the whole bottom half was a shop, and that place was incredible. It was an older house, and it had its issues, but the reason I had it was because I had so much workspace. So me and my friends, man, it was like the hangout, and we used to do a lot of dumb shit in there. It was so much fun. So I'll try to interject some clips here, but we built some really cool stuff there. And I definitely filled it up with bikes. I think my max count in that place at one time was 27 bikes. It was ridiculous. Once you start doing this, you become known around town as like the motorcycle guy, and deals find their way to you, let me tell you, whether it be like literally free bikes or bikes that are very cheap. So I get very fortunate in that. Of course, they do take money to fix, and you have to invest your time in them and stuff. But no, I've had a stack of motorcycles at this point, and in the last 5 years or so, I've gone through well over like 60 motorcycles and just all kinds of stuff, and it's been really cool. And that's kind of fun because I can bring a bike back to life, experience it, enjoy it, and then sell it, and then get to experience something different. So I build my skill and then get to experience something. So, I may not be like what's the word I'm looking for? A reporter, a motorcycle reviewer. What's the term I'm looking for? But you guys get what I mean. It's not like I'm officially that, but I do get to experience a lot of stuff, which is cool. So back to the name though, Brickhouse Builds. I originally wanted to call it Firehouse Hot Rods because the kind of thought or theory was that the building that I was living in might have been the original firehouse in the town. Couldn't confirm it, so I know as soon as I would have called it Firehouse Hot Rods, somebody would have been like, nah, it's not a firehouse. I'd be like, ah, damn. So we called it Brickhouse Builds, and I love the, I'm wearing my Harley hat today. Dang it. Okay. Be right back. And I chose Brickhouse Builds for another reason, because I could make the logo BHB. Let me show you. So I can make the logo BHB, kind of flip backwards. And this has another special meaning to it too. My favorite movie is Back to the Future. And I love the DeLorean Motor Company logo where it's like a backwards letter and it just flows. It fits perfectly. So my logo is actually inspired by the DeLorean Motor Company, as well as this helmet. So this is a Gringo S, and when they released this color, this is the first version of this. I know you can get these now, but this is the first run of this helmet. I don't impulse buy anything except motorcycles, but this is something I had to impulse buy whenever it came out. And this helmet inspired my actual business colors. I just love the whole red, orange, yellow thing, and there's just a lot of inspiration in this helmet. You got DeLorean Motor Company, Back to the Future, my colors, you got everything kind of right here. But yeah, I drew this logo myself, had it digitized, and then I actually also drew this logo, which is just kind of the silhouette of a motorcycle. Of course, you got the retro sunset, and that was digitized by another friend. So that's kind of where my logos come from, what all this means, Yeah, so doing this day to day, it's definitely not an easy thing to do. I have been kind of trying to build a life I don't need a vacation from. This is something I enjoy doing, and if I can try to find a way to keep adapting and make a living at it, then man, that's awesome. I want to wake up every day and enjoy what I'm doing. And it is work for sure. Like I'm a very busy guy, and sometimes it is difficult to make ends meet. This is not something that you're getting rich doing, but it's very rewarding. And the bonus is that I've been like building and nurturing like a whole community of people. And I get these emails from people like, oh man, you inspired me to dig this bike out of a garage, and like my uncle gave it to me and I got it going because of your videos, or oh, I started working on motorcycles and seeing you or something like that. Like, oh guys, that's like phenomenal. And that was never something I anticipated, but if that's really cool and really rewarding that is now a part of what I do, is being able to give back and inspire and help people. The amount of tech questions I get and questions and comments asking what's wrong with their bikes and stuff is substantial, let me tell you. But I try to help the best I can, and I really appreciate those who would entrust me with that kind of information. So another question that I get asked a lot is, where did you get your skills? Where did you learn all this stuff? Well, growing up, I was always just very into mechanical stuff. I was definitely the Lego kid. Legos and Connects and stuff and model cars. I loved all of that. Splitting wood with my dad and everything growing up when I'm like 8 years old. The payment for a whole day's work was he would let me go and I'd get a model car. I wanted a model car, I wanted to put something together. So I started very young just being interested in building things, and of course just being interested in cars, Hot Wheels and whatnot, like duh, I'm into that for sure. I still have a really big Hot Wheel collection. Oh my god. But it definitely started from a young age. That moved into riding bicycles. You learn how to, like build ramps. I was the ramp builder guy among my group of friends. I had a lot of BMX days. I built the ramps. I was always the guy who could get everybody's brakes working really good. I was good with like running the cable, setting the tension, stuff like that, cleaning the rims up. And, you work on bicycles. And then I remember one year, another funny story. I locked up my grandpa's lawnmower. It didn't have any oil in it. I was mowing the yard, the engine seized up. So to pay for it, I had to go work a little bit at a lawnmower shop. And this is a funny story. So yeah, I had to go work at a lawnmower shop. It was Rick's Small Engines in Louisiana, Missouri. And worked there a little bit for free to help pay for the cost of the parts and stuff to fix his mower. But in the back, he had an old mini chopper, okay? And when I'm like, I don't know, it's probably 12 or 13 at the time, probably, seeing that thing, oh my gosh, it was a mini chopper, had an old flathead Briggs on it. And I worked a deal somehow for that thing, 'cause he wasn't doing anything with it. So I ended up getting that, and that was technically my first, my first project bike. So I ended up painting the frame on that one, modifying it a little bit, and I found a 5-horse flathead Briggs, put that on there. I made the header for it and stuff. And oh man, I feel bad. I'm gonna put up photos now, and yeah, some of my younger days. But that was like my first kind of motorcycle, So that was a cool thing as far as like wrenching. I remember, try to top that thing out. I had like, I take the head gasket out and make like a manila folder head gasket to try to increase the compression and, modifying the valves and stuff, and then, trying to make an open air filter and then just running it on straight octane boost. It did 40 miles an hour, which was okay. It had a wheel this big on it, but that was hot rodding, you're learning. So that was cool. Moving on from that, though, it just kind of turned into cars eventually. I had like my second vehicle was like a V6 Mustang. It was a 2001. Learned a lot in that. And then moving on from there, I've had a stack of like different Fox bodies and stuff like that. And I had one that I called Project Blue Hair. And I was an 89 coupe. I ended up doing an LS swap in that thing, kind of making my own swap kit, and that was a really quick car, and it was really light, and I did like as much as possible on that thing. I had a lot of help with it, but like putting engines together and doing suspension work, and I did all of the wiring on that car. So I decided like an idiot that I wanted to like completely strip the wiring out and do my own thing in it. So I started with like a painless harness that wasn't quite for the car, and did all of the wiring in it front to back. And looking back now, the amount of butt connectors I have in that thing, I don't know if it had an electrical fire at some point, but that was the best that I could do at that point, and you just simply progress. So all of these projects, you get better and better and better, and just you keep refining your skills a little bit at a time. And like I said with the welder, I got that for my 16th birthday, and that was because my parents knew I liked to build stuff, and so that was really cool, So just progression, you make little incremental changes, and you just keep going and you just hone your skills and keep developing more, and having that quest to continuously learn is important. So, I don't think I'll ever feel like an expert in something. I can become proficient, but I think it's important to always have the beginner mindset and stuff, and be willing to try new things. And like one thing I'm facing right now, everybody is building bikes using 3D modeling and CAD and just like 3D printing parts up, and I'm out here feeling like a dinosaur, just like, yeah, I'm still hammering metal and things like that, and doing things by hand. And I don't ever want to become of the mindset of like, oh, kids these days on certain things. I'm definitely kids these days on some things, but when it comes to like, let's say this craft, I don't want to be the guy who's like putting other people down because they're not doing it the way I'm doing it. So what's important in that moment is that instead of me sitting stagnant at one level and discounting everybody else doing it differently, I take the time to learn new skills as well and adapt and always be evolving. So, that's something I will be doing whenever I guess I have to. But yeah, getting into like 3D modeling and stuff like that. There's so many people that are like light years ahead of me. I don't have a clue about that stuff, so that's a skill that I'm going to have to learn. I'm not an expert in everything by any means. So like welding, for example, I've been welding now for like I don't know, 20 years. That sounds crazy. Like 20 years. I was probably 16 years old when I learned how to weld in like an ag class in high school, and that skill I just kept building on. And I've had friends help me along the way. They've let me borrow their TIG or borrow their MIG or whatever, or I'll go to their house and have them help me weld something when I didn't know how. And then just being willing to learn is the important thing. So it's just that's how you get these skills, as well as making plenty of mistakes. I recently put up a video of working on that first that Ranger Green, that CX500 I mentioned, and I had made a ton of mistakes on the carburetors in that thing. And so it's important to learn from those mistakes and be able to adapt and just do better next time. So that's a clear example of how I'm definitely not an expert. I'm always learning, and that is evidence of progression. Some of the things I did back on that bike I would never ever do today. This is a CX500 and that is a CX500, but this one is a better bike just because I have more skill now that has been evolved over time. Like, I know the carburetors in this thing are ready to go. They're really good. They're really clean. I know I did them right. And I'm just going to keep trying to do them better each time. Like, one thing that I'm always trying to do better at is wiring. So that Mustang, that was the first big wiring project I undertook. And I did that because I didn't know anything about wiring. So I'm like, well, that's how I'm going to learn. So do or die, sink or swim. Jump in and tame that flying spaghetti monster, and the car worked. It did really well. So when it came time to do motorcycles, I had taken the skills that I developed there, you apply them to the motorcycle. It's just a different canvas, and then I just keep doing better and better each time. So for me, it's just trying to make them clean, make them serviceable, and just using the right technology for the job, I guess. I'm always trying to do it better, and it's one of those things I like to get nerdy about, talking about different heat shrinks and stuff like that. If you guys have seen my wiring stuff, I get kind of down in the weeds about it, and I get a little bit dorky and nerdy, and that's okay, I like that stuff. It's weird, it's like, I don't want you guys to think that it's easy for me because, oh my gosh, my ADD is so bad when it comes to wiring. I gotta walk away for 5 minutes every 5 minutes. It takes me forever to get anything done. A lot of my customers actually who I'll sell product to, they'll wire their bikes faster than me, and that's no joke. Because I'm sitting here just sweating how I'm going to run this thing through this little spot and make it look clean and accessible, and on and on. I work very slow. Now, as far as like making videos and stuff for the channel, basically every 5 minutes of a video that you see on this channel, it probably requires about an hour of total time investment. So there's a lot that goes into it. Recording takes a lot of extra time. Even now it's like, I've got the camera sitting on a bucket, but I've had to change the camera position just a couple times to try to make this video a little bit more interesting. I know this video is going to be a little bit more boring as far as like the actual videography of it, but we're just sitting here talking, we're chatting, it's a different kind of video. But those are all things you have to consider, and I'm always just trying to do better and better and better with my videos. That is why the projects take so long for me to get done, is because I'm just one guy, and I try to do the best I can. But yeah, there's a lot of time-consuming stuff that goes into this, and I can't knock projects out very fast. But I am working on that. So I've mentioned I'm trying to get into a larger facility. Along with that, I'm trying to bring more help on board to knock out maybe like my eBay parts and stuff like that, as well as probably do more flip bikes. I feel like I should really kind of go for that. There are always things to be learned or shown or demonstrated with any kind of neglected project or something I pick up. So if we can go grab a cheap bike, I can get my friend to fix it up, and I can showcase what we're doing to it and why, give some info to you guys, and then we can sell the bike, and then you can make money that way. So there's a lot of potential here, and that's going to be evolving over the next 4 or 5 months for sure. And there's definitely going to be some big changes by the end of the year. I'm really excited about it. Anyway, that's a lot of talking, but back to my normal day today. I normally get out to the shop at about 2 o'clock or so, you know, noon to 2 at the latest, I would usually hope. So I'll get, you know, close to half the day out here. Most of the time a little bit less to try to get things done. And, you know, it's working for now. I would like more time in the shop, but it is what it is. I have to try to find that balance. So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys kind of an idea of, you know, what my day-to-day is like. What was that, Al?
Yeah, that's it. Put me on camera and I go,
So this is Al. He's actually over in Ireland, and he's also part of the like NWT Cyclotronic affiliation. So he is your guy for selling product over in the UK, basically Europe, UK. But we do calls like this quite often, just kind of catching up on things, talking business, talking about movies a lot, talking about music. So anyway, yeah, this is a part of my day.
yeah. So where's that going on YouTube?
Yeah. All right. Well, it's about 6 o'clock. That's usually my quitting time or the time I need to get out of the shop. I'll have some other things to do tonight. I'm going to be working on some wiring and maybe some more tech emails and stuff like that. But for the most part, I do try to quit at 6. I do try to have a personal life, and what I've been working on lately is actually trying to take a day off during the weekend instead of working just 7 days a week. So yeah, that's actually, you know, when you work for yourself, you're never really off the clock, but that's something I'm really consciously trying to work on. So I hope you guys like this video. I know there's a lot of talking. It's probably way longer than I ever expected it to be. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, definitely leave them below. Check out all of the links that I might put in the actual description of the video, because there's links to my website and social media and stuff like that. You guys have a more inside look of what's going on. I'm most active on the Instagram, on the Instagrams. But yeah, most active on there. I post the most. As far as my story, you can see kind of just, I don't know, whatever I'm doing during the day. So, and as a final thank you, I'm really grateful for all of the love and support that I've got growing this channel for so long, and 50,000 is a huge mark for me. And I'm excited to keep growing it. We're pushing for 100, and I hope to get there this year. So yeah, again, I just really appreciate the support. It's been a fun ride, and I've been really enjoying this community that I've mentioned so many times. But anyway, I'm going to sign it off here. Again, I hope you gupe like this video, and hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.